Before we dive into what follows, a strong warning, viewer discretion is highly recommended. This account is intended solely for educational and entertainment purpose. What you're about to read is the exact, unaltered federal courtroom testimony delivered during the high-profile trial of Sean Diddy Combs, as meticulously reported by Inner City Press. In a courtroom brimming with tension and already shaken by a series of explosive revelations, the atmosphere grew even more electric when Hollywood icon Leonardo DiCaprio took the witness stand. No one, neither the jury, the attorney, nor the audience could have predicted the staggering disclosure that were about to unfold. Widely celebrated not only for his blockbuster film but also for his passionate environmental activism, DiCaprio unveiled a shadowy and disturbing chapter from his personal life, one that most people never imagined existed behind the glamorous facade of celebrity party. His voice trembled as he recounted a single night, a singular invitation from Sean Diddy Combs that irrevocably shattered his perception of fame, privilege, and the hidden underworld lurking beneath the glitter. This was no ordinary soiree filled with champagne flute and flashing camera. What Leonardo described was chillingly different en experience far darker and more sinister than any Hollywood gala. His revelation stunned the jury into silence and ignited an unprecedented media frenzy, forcing even the most powerful figure involved to finally confront uncomfortable truth. The pressing question on everyone's mind, what did DiCaprio witness? Why had he stayed silent all this time? And, crucially, what impact would this testimony have on the course and outcome of Diddy's trial? The courtroom was thick with silence, suffocating in its intensity. Cameras were barred from inside the room, but that mattered little, the world outside was watching intently. Reporters lined the courthouse steps, furiously typing on laptops, racing to keep pace with the unfolding saga that was rapidly being dubbed the story of the decade. Then came the moment that no one anticipated. Leonardo DiCaprio, arguably one of the most revered actors in the world, entered the courtroom. Clad in a sombre dark suit, his usually composed de manner replaced by a visibly shaken expression, he took deliberate, measured steps towards the witness stand. Soft gasp and whisper rippled through the gallery. This was no mere celebrity cameo. This was a moment of profound gravity, testimony under what? The judge called for silence. DiCaprio sat down, took a deep breath, and fixed his gaze squarely on Sean Diddy Combs seated across the room. What followed was no theatrical performance. It was a reconfession, a recounting of horror witnessed at an exclusive party hosted by Diddy himself. He attended a strange party in Hollywood et began, his voice calm yet distant, but this one was different. It felt orchestrated, calculated. He painted a vivid picture of a sprawling, secluded mansion securely gated and fortified, where guests were flown in on private jets. Curiosity had drawn him there. He expected glamour, an elite gathering of A-list celebrities mingling and networking. But what he encountered was something else entirely. At first, the party appeared typical, champagne flowed freely, high-end catering was impeccable, and security was tight but discreet. However, as the evening wore on, DiCaprio noticed troubling details that unsettled him deeply. There were rooms off limit to guests, he explained. People who looked far too young to be drinking, and an eerie tension hanging in the air. He felt a tug he had stepped into a forbidden place. Then he delivered the bombshell that rippled through the courtroom like a shockwave. There was a back room he wasn't aiming to see. The door was slightly ajar. He saw camera set up, a line of people waiting, and Diddy himself was there, giving order. This wasn't a party anymore. It was something darker, something chillingly orchestrated. Gasp echoed through the gallery. Diddy remained motionless, flanked by his legal team. The judge called a brief recess, a whisper quickly escalated into headline. DiCaprio's testimony had pierced the veil of secrecy enveloping Diddy's inner circle, and this was only the beginning. When the courtroom reconvened, Leonardo returned to the stand, his resolve noticeably stronger. What he was about to disclose next would thrust him into the heart of one of the trial's most disturbing revelations. When he saw that back room, he said, posing as if stealing himself, he wasn't sure if what he was witnessing was illegal. But he knew in my gut it was deeply wrong. He described the unease of toes inside a nervous glance towards the camera, expression far from joyful, I've trapped under constant surveillance. One young woman, et recounted, couldn't have been older than 20. She was seated on a plush red velvet couch, surrounded by a group of much older men. He cocked her eye for just a moment, DiCaprio said quietly. In that brief glance, he saw nothing but terror. His voice cracked and continued, and every person in the courtroom leaned in, hanging on his every word. That look, it don't musty. Eden revealed the unnerving behavior of security personnel at the event. Guests were strictly confined to certain areas. You had to remain in the public zone, he explained. There were security guards, some with earpiece, others without, who would politely be firmly steer anyone trying to explore away. But it wasn't only the rooms that were off limits. The behavior of those involved was deeply unsettling. By midnight, DiCaprio noticed that people began disappearing for long stretches of time. Familiar celebrities and recognized vanished only to reappear later, looking pale and disoriented. It wasn't just a party, he said gravely. It was if people were being processed. That is the only word that comes to mind, processed. The courtroom sat frozen in disbelief. DiCaprio confessed that when he tried to leave early, he was told his driver had been delayed. When he insisted on departing, a man in a black suit discreetly pulled him aside and said calmly, Monsieur DiCaprio, we respect you too much for you to just walk out like this. Please, allow us to escort you to the lounge. They made it sound like a privilege, DiCaprio recalled, but it felt more like a warning. He was held in a glass-walled lounge for over an hour, cut off from phone signal, with only soft jazz playing in the background and a silent bartender. Eventually, a car arrived, and only then was he permitted to leave. He never told anyone before, he confessed quietly, because he honestly didn't think anyone would believe me. But now, seeing everything that is coming to light, he feel like he have no choice but to speak up. The judge nodded with a grave expression, absorbing the weight of his admission, while DD's legal team furiously scribbled notes, their fast tense and unreadable. What Leonardo DiCaprio described wasn't a wild party in the usual sense. It was something far more sinister and more mechanical. A perfectly orchestrated machine, where every person inside was a COG, moving in strict, unyielding synchronization. When pressed about how Didi himself had reacted to his presence that night, DiCaprio's account took a darker, more unsettling turn. I was about to leave that hidden back area, Leo recalled, Didi caught sight of me for a brief second. And he swore, he looked at me like he already knew too much. He described the look as nothing short of an intense, cold stare. It wasn't anger, and it wasn't surprise either. It was something more dangerous, more calculating, like he was mentally cataloging me, feeling me away a potential threat. At the time, DiCaprio didn't grasp the full gravity of that moment. It only became clear later, when familiar faces and counted on began distancing themselves, when projects suddenly stalled for no apparent reason, and when calls and messages were unanswered, a invisible force was shooting doors in his face. In a voice heavy with key determination, he told the courtroom, he started to see those people from the party again, but only fleetingly at gala, at award ceremony, and they give me this strange, almost haunted look. It was like we'd all been marked, branded in some way. The nightmare started soon after. Vision of that mention haunted his sleep. He tried to rationalize it away, convincing himself, maybe it was just some bizarre Hollywood thing, paranoia fueled by gossip and rumor. But then the allegations surfaced, the stories from Cassie, the leaked video, the unexplained disappearance, and everything changed. Around that time, an anonymous phone call came. They knew he had been at the party, Leo said, his voice dropping. The Calais tone was shying, you saw more than you should have. Let it die, Leo. Then the line wounded. Not a soul was told. Not his publicist, not his agent, not even his closest friends. Until now. The courtroom fell into a stunned silence, hanging on every word. The prosecutor then asked the pivotal question, why come forward after all this time? DiCaprio looked directly at Didi, his voice steady and resolute, because no one is too big to fall. Not even you. With those words, one of Hollywood's most revered actor helped begin the dismantling of one of the music industry's most powerful and feared figure. The prosecution says at the moment, shifting focus sharply. Monsieur DiCaprio, did anyone ever warn you about what was really happening behind those closed doors? They asked. He nodded slowly. He didn't want to know, but Someone told me anyway. According to his testimony, a fellow actor whose identity was kept confidential in court for safety reasons pulled him as days after that night. You were lucky to live early, the actor warned. There's more going on at those parties than just drugs or alcohol. It's about control, blackmail, and secret list. Leo's expression darkened I recalled the word. He told me there was an actual list a real, detailed list of everyone who had ever been filmed or compromised inside that mansion. It was used as a tool. To keep people silent. To keep them obeyed. To keep them tethered to Diddy's power. The courtroom collectively gasped at the revelation. This wasn't about money, DiCaprio explained. It was about silence and favors exchanged through key complicity. After that conversation, he began to notice the extent of Diddy's influence. Producer, director, influencer, people from completely different spheres were all inexplicably connected to Diddy. They backed his project, showed up at his events, and smiled as if everything were perfectly normal. But the most chilling detail came when Leo described the mansion itself. He explained how it had been remodeled not to expand, but to divide. Secret rooms, surveillance centers, hidden corridor no one spoke about. He referenced blueprint he had seen circulating in a private chat among concerned insiders within the industry. Tug didn't present the blueprint in court, prosecutor confirmed they planned to introduce evidence that matched his claim. The real purpose of this party, Leo said solemnly, wasn't socializing. It was surveillance. They wanted to see how far people would go, believing no one was watching. But Someone always watched. And Someone always knew. As DiCaprio finished de telling the mansion's secret infrastructure and the infamous list, the judge called for a 15-minute recess. At the defense table, Diddy sat silent, jaw clenched, stripped of his usual air of invincibility. For the first time, he looked vulnerable and exposed. When court resumed, the energy shifted palpably. The prosecutor asked, Monsieur DiCaprio, did you ever encounter anyone you believed was being held there against their will? Leo hesitated briefly, then nodded. He was looking for a bathroom, he said, eyes narrowing as if recalling the scene. He wandered further than he should have. He opened a door, started down a staircase and he heard crying. He described a narrow, dim hallway beneath the mansion's main floor, lined with storage doors. At the far end was a small room with a tinted glass panel. Inside, a young woman sat on the floor, knees pulled to her chest, tears streaming down her face. She looked no older than 18. He opened the door just a crack and asked if she was okay, Leo said. She looked up, panicked, and shook her head. Suddenly, a man appeared behind him security. He grabbed the door, slammed it shut, and said coldly, "We're on floor, Monsieur DiCaprio. You didn't see anything. Go back upstairs." Leo tried to report the incident, but nothing came of it. No studio, no media outlet, not even his own team would pursue the story. He spoke of weeks of storm afterward, a flashback, lost focus, a withdrawal from public life for almost a year. He became obsessed with finding out who she was, he said quietly. But it was like she never existed. No record, no press, nothing. That was when he realized this was bigger than anyone imagined. Someone had the power to erase people, he said solemnly. If they could do that, they could do anything. When asked if he believed Diddy knew about the basement, Leo's answer was unequivocal. It wasn't just his house, he said. It was his design. Nothing happened there without his approval. The jury sat frozen in silence. DiCaprio had transformed from witness to the voice for countless victims who never had a chance to speak. The final testimony took an unexpected turn when the prosecutor asked, Monsieur DiCaprio, do you recognize the term league to the in relation to Diddy's events? The room fell silent. DiCaprio nodded gravely. That was the code name, e explained. Everyone who attended those party understood its meaning. It was whispered only among those invited into the innermost circle. Ewan on to describe how the term came up during a private conversation with a high-ranking music executive, revealing yet another layer of the shining secrecy surrounding those events. He looked me squarely in the eyes and said, "You've been to the league tours. You understand now what it really means." He didn't respond immediately. A word felt unnecessary. Deep down, he knew he was right. When asked to explain why it was called the league tours, Leonardo DiCaprio's voice lowered slightly, half revealing a secret. Because from inside it, you could see everything, every corner, every shadow. But once you saw it, there was no going back. The metaphor hung heavy in the air, a chilling echo of irreversible truth. Then came a question no one in the courtroom anticipated. The prosecutor pressed Leo on whether he had ever witnessed Diddy interacting with any top-tier political figure during these lavish events. He took a long breath, steadying himself before answering quietly, Barack Obama. The courtroom erupted in gasp and whisper. He never saw Obama at the mansion itself, Leo clarified, but he observed him with Diddy at campaign events, fundraisers, exclusive after party. More than once, he saw Diddy discreetly hand envelope to someone close to Obama. It was subtle, but it was definitely something. Tug Leo maintained they didn't believe Obama was directly involved in any misconduct, he added with a of sorrow, but it's hard to imagine someone that powerful didn't at least hear the rumor, the whisper behind closed doors. He recounted a moment from 2016, at an event where someone half joked, "Don't let Diddy bring the league tours to DC." Everyone logged everyone except Obama. According to Leo, Obama merely smiled briefly and then walked away, avoiding the joke altogether. "I don't think Obama ever stepped foot inside the mansion," Leo explained, "but he believed he knew. And if he didn't know, he chose not to know." The implication of those words were devastating not only for Diddy but for the vast network of powerful people surrounding him. But the story was far from over. The prosecutor's next question struck at the heart of the silence that had shrouded all of these 4 years. "Why didn't you come forward sooner?" The courtroom leaned in, hanging on his every word he inhaled deeply. "Because he was scared," he admitted, voice heavy with the weight of years of fear. "Not just scared for my career, but scared for my life." After that harrowing night in the mansion, the girl locked away in the basement, the veiled tree, the unsettling whisper about the league to the Leo said he returned home and shut himself off from the world for days. He couldn't sleep. He kept every light on. He hired security to sweep my house for bug. He paused, then added dryly, "You think I'm paranoid?" In Hollywood, paranoia is a survival tool. Over the years that followed, he made several attempts to alert people in position of power. He sat down with a studio audience. He told him, "Something dark is happening behind the scene. Someone's going to get hurt if we don't act." He looked me in the eye and said, "Do you want to star in The Revenant or not?" Every time he tried to speak out even subtly it was met with silence, veiled warning, or outright threat. One producer even told him, "Say the wrong thing about Diddy, and you'll be an insurable verdict. They'll erase you, and you won't know who did it." What finally pushed him to the brink, however, was an incident in 2021. He was on a yacht in Capri with just a few close friends, Leo recalled. Someone mentioned the league tours again. They said, "It's back. It's starting up again." That night, Leo excused himself and stood at the yacht's edge, contemplating jumping into the dark waters below. He'd spent years pretending nothing was wrong, smiling on red carpet, accepting hours all while knowing someone, somewhere, was still trapped, still being harmed. Tug he didn't jump, he made a solemn vow. If the day ever came when this man had to answer for his action, he would testify no matter the cost. A heavy silence settled over the courtroom. At the defense table, Diddy shifted uneasily, whispering urgently to his lawyer. But it was too late. Leonardo DiCaprio was no longer just a Hollywood icon. He had become a whistleblower and his story was far from finished. The prosecution then presented a sealed manila envelope. Leo's face changed the instant he saw it. Is dead the feel, et asked softly. The attorney nodded solemnly. Leo explained, this feel old message, screenshot, note. He collected them over the years from anonymous source, witness, and victim. He revealed that the feel wasn't meant for him. According to his testimony, it was handed to him in 2019 by a former assistant to a powerful record executive. She was trembling when she gave it to me, Leo said. She whispered, if he disappear, give this to someone who can't be silenced. He asked, why me? She said, because you still have a soul. The file, a described in court, contained transcript of party, security log, and the names of underage individual reportedly seen entering DDS estate many never publicly seen living. Leo refused to speak most names alone, respecting the victim privacy. Some are still trying to rebuild their lives, they said, and others are too afraid to come forward. But one woman had reached out directly. Her name was redacted in court, Leo Calederop. She had been trafficked through entertainment industry connection and spent 3 months trapped in DDS circle before escaping with the help of what she described as a favor from a remorseful friend. Leo read one of her messages aloud, her voice echoing through the courtroom. If anyone ever found out what he did to us, they'll bury him. But they'll bury us, too. He just wants someone to say out loud what happened, even if no one believe it. Turning to the judge, DiCaprio said plainly, that is why I'm here. He concluded his testimony by stating his belief that DDS Empire was built not just on music, but on fear, silence, and shame. Et Candace, Leo said quietly, but it's the shadow that move with him. You need to watch those shadows. The judge called for a brief recess. But the courtroom remained frozen. Not a single person moved or spoke, not even the defense team. When the jury returned, something had clearly shifted in the atmosphere. Diddy looked visibly pale. His team shuffled papers nervously, and one attorney whispered fiercely into his ear. Suddenly, Diddy slammed his fist on the table and stood. With the judge's permission, his attorney requested to approach the bench. A brief sidebar conversation took place in hushed tone. What was said remained unknown. When the lawyers returned, the prosecution stood and asked Leonardo for one final statement. Leo cleared his throat, steadied himself, and spoke with conviction. I'm not here because he hates Sean Combs. I'm here because he believes in accountability. He believes in bringing light to darkness. He paused, letting the weight of his words sink in. This trial isn't about fame or Hollywood. It's about a system that allowed one man to do whatever he wanted for decades because he was rich, connected, and dangerous. It's about the people he hurt while the rest of us turned away. Then, looking directly at Diddy, he said, you once told me the only thing people care about is the party. Well, the party is over. Now it's time to clean up the mess. The courtroom fell into stunned silence. Diddy muttered something under his breath caused by a courtroom microphone. He said, this isn't over. None of this is real. They're all actors. Leo replied softly but firmly, then you finally understand what it's like to be in one of my movies. Only this time, you don't get a script? The judge adjourned court for the day. Reporters rushed out to capture every moment. The jury sat frozen, absorbing the gravity of what they had just witnessed. And for the first time in a long time, Diddy looked powerful. A Leonardo DiCaprio exited the courtroom under police escort, et passed a small crowd of onlookers. Some applauded. Others watched in disbelief. But no matter what they believed, everyone knew one undeniable truth.